Face it head on. No excuses. Failure isn't your enemy. It's your mirror. Stop running from it. Stare in the face and own every mistake, every weakness. When you fail, that's the world showing you exactly where you stand, not where you wish you were. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid that reflection. They hide behind excuses, behind comfort, behind the illusion that things just didn't go their way. But when you fail, that's when you get the truth, raw and unfiltered. That's when life says, this is you. This is what you really are when it counts. It's not the moment to break down. It's the moment to wake up. You can't fix what you don't face. You can't grow from what you deny. When you fall short, it's not the universe against you, it's you against you. Every failure is feedback, a report card written in blood, sweat, and time. If you're smart, you don't rip that report card up. You study it. You dissect it. You find out what needs to be burned down and what needs to be rebuilt. That's how you turn failure into the most powerful tool you've got. Because behind every broken plan, every missed goal, every defeat, there's a message written for the person strong enough to read it. People love to talk about success like it's a straight line, like you just hustle and grind until one day everything falls into place. That's a lie. You're going to fall. You're going to get punched in the face by reality. You're going to lose people, lose time, lose momentum. But here's the thing. Those hits aren't there to stop you. They're there to shape you. They're sculpting something harder than you were before. And if you can't face the pain, if you can't stare down the shame and frustration that come with failure, you'll stay weak. You'll stay soft. Because comfort never built anything great. When you fail, that's when the voice in your head gets loud. That's when it tells you you're not good enough, not smart enough, not talented enough. That voice feeds on your mistakes. But here's the truth. It's not there to destroy you. It's there to test you. Are you going to let that voice define you, or are you going to face it head on? Every time you stand up after falling, that voice gets weaker. Every time you take accountability instead of making excuses, that voice loses control. You take your power back by refusing to hide from your own reality. Own every part of your failure. Don't water it down. Don't try to dress it up with excuses like it wasn't meant to be or it just wasn't my time. No, it was your fault. It was your lack of preparation, your lack of focus, your lack of execution. And that's good because that means you have control. You can change it. You can do better. The moment you accept full responsibility for your failure is the moment you start building real power. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and become a weapon forged by them. Facing failure is about looking yourself dead in the eye and saying, this is on me. It's about walking through the fire instead of avoiding it. You don't get stronger by pretending you didn't fall. You get stronger by dragging yourself out of the dirt, bleeding, exhausted, but still breathing. You learn what broke you, and you make damn sure it doesn't break you again. You become self-aware, dangerous, and disciplined. You stop fearing failure because you realize it's not the end. It's the beginning of who you're becoming. When you face failure head on, you build a mindset that can't be shaken. You learn that fear, doubt, and disappointment are not signs to quit. They're proof that you're in the fight. Every scar becomes a story. Every setback becomes a lesson. And every moment of pain becomes a reminder that you were willing to step into the arena while others watch from the sidelines. Facing failure is not about liking the pain. It's about respecting it. Because pain is the most honest teacher you'll ever have. It doesn't care about your ego. It doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about results. Most people fail once and retreat. They call it moving on. But the truth is, they're just running from the reflection they didn't want to see. The strong ones stay. They look at their failure until it stops being their enemy and becomes their blueprint. Every time you face failure without excuses, you take a step closer to mastering yourself. You stop being afraid of losing and start being afraid of not trying. That's where the transformation begins. When failure stops breaking you and starts building you. Embrace the pain. It's your teacher. Every failure comes with pain. And that pain is the tuition you pay for growth. The truth is, nothing worth having comes without suffering. Pain is the entry fee for every breakthrough, every victory, every ounce of strength you'll ever earn. You can't buy discipline. You can't fake resilience. And you can't borrow mental toughness. You have to earn it in the fire, one painful moment at a time. Pain isn't there to destroy you. It's there to educate you. It's the most honest feedback life can give. When everything hurts, when your mind screams to quit, that's the classroom where your next level begins. Most people spend their lives running from pain, chasing comfort like it's safety. But comfort is a lie. Comfort makes you soft, weak, and forgetful of what you're capable of. Pain strips away the illusion. It shows you what's real. It shows you who you are when everything else is gone, when the noise fades and it's just you and the grind. Pain doesn't care about your excuses, your background, or your reasons. It only responds to effort. The more you embrace it, the more it shapes you. The more you resist it, the more it owns you. When you fail, pain shows up immediately. It's there in your chest, in your thoughts, in your pride. You feel humiliated, defeated, angry. But inside that storm is truth. Pain is talking to you. It's saying, here's where you fell short. Here's where you need to level up. Most people shut that voice down because it hurts too much to listen. But if you have the courage to sit with it, to really feel it, pain will teach you more than any success ever could. Pain reveals the cracks in your armor, the habits you ignored, the effort you didn't give. It forces you to confront the parts of yourself you've been hiding from. Pain refines you. It burns away what's weak and leaves only what's strong. Every time you fail and keep moving, you're rewiring your brain to operate at a higher level of toughness. You start to understand that pain isn't punishment. It's progress. Every rep that burns, every setback that breaks you down, every rejection that stings. Those are the moments that build the kind of strength comfort will never give you. Growth doesn't come in peace, it comes in struggle. Every scar is a chapter in your evolution. Every ache is proof that you're still in the fight. There's beauty in pain when you stop running from it. It's not the enemy, it's the process. The pain of failure teaches you patience, humility, and respect for the grind. It reminds you that nothing is owed to you, that greatness demands a price few are willing to pay. When you embrace pain instead of escaping it, you take control. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop saying, "Why me?" and start saying, "Try me." That shift changes everything. It turns victims into warriors, dreamers into doers, and ordinary people into unstoppable forces. The pain of failure has a purpose. It's not random. It's not meaningless. Every ounce of pain you feel is carving something inside you. Discipline, resilience, awareness, power. Pain breaks down your ego so you can rebuild your soul stronger. It takes away the comfort you've been hiding behind and replaces it with clarity. You start to see that all the things you thought were holding you back, the losses, the heartbreaks, the rejections, were actually shaping the mindset you needed to win. Pain forces you to earn your confidence instead of pretending to have it. When you embrace pain, you develop a new relationship with fear. You stop being afraid of what might happen because you've already been through worse. You've already felt the sting of failure, the burn of disappointment, and you survived it. You realize pain can't stop you. It can only strengthen you. The more you lean into it, the more it teaches you. Pain becomes your compass, your coach, your constant reminder that growth never comes easy. Every time you fail and keep going, pain becomes your ally. It teaches you endurance when the world tells you to quit. It teaches you focus when distractions try to pull you away. It teaches you hunger when comfort whispers that you've done enough. Pain sharpens your edge. It keeps you honest. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you hungry for more. Without it, you'd never change, never evolve, never find out what's buried inside you. The only way to reach your potential is to stop fearing the pain that comes with failure and start respecting it. Pain is not there to punish you. It's there to prepare you. Every moment you embrace it, instead of avoiding it, you're building something unshakable. Pain is the teacher that never lies, never flatters, never lets you off easy. It demands your full attention. It demands your full effort. And the ones who listen to its lessons, who take that pain and turn it into power, are the ones who rise above everything that tried to break them. Rebuild from the rubble. When you fall, don't just get up. Rebuild yourself stronger, harder, and smarter. Anybody can stand up after being knocked down, but very few have the courage to rebuild from the ashes. When life hits you hard, when everything collapses and you're staring at the ruins of what you thought was solid, that's not the end. It's the beginning of a reconstruction project called you. The version of you that existed before the fall wasn't strong enough to handle what's next. And that's exactly why life tore it down. Failure doesn't just destroy, it reveals the foundation. It shows you what was built on weakness, on ego, on shortcuts. When everything falls apart, that's when you get the chance to rebuild yourself the right way. Rebuilding means starting over with pain as your blueprint. It means digging through the wreckage of your mistakes and finding the lessons buried underneath. Most people never rebuild because they can't face what's broken. They want to move on, to forget, to pretend it never happened. But if you skip the rebuilding phase, you'll repeat the same collapse again and again. The real work begins after the fall. That's where discipline, consistency, and grit are born. When you rebuild, you're not just repairing the damage. You're redesigning your entire foundation to be bulletproof. The rubble is where your excuses die. It's where comfort is stripped away and all that's left is the truth. That's where you find out what kind of person you really are. Anyone can talk about strength when life is good, but rebuilding after destruction is where real strength is forged. You have to look at the pieces, the broken plans, the shattered pride, and decide that you're not going to let it define you. You take what's left and you use it. Every piece of rubble becomes material for the new version of you, sharper, leaner, and more focused. Rebuilding yourself means working in silence. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's clapping for your progress. The world moves on while you're in the dirt, trying to find your footing again. That's the lonely part of growth. But in that silence, in that grind where nobody sees the effort, that's where you become dangerous. You start building habits, stacking discipline, and replacing weakness with work. You stop chasing approval and start chasing improvement. You learn to rely on yourself. You learn that real confidence doesn't come from never falling. It comes from rebuilding every time you do. When you rebuild, you have to strip away the old layers, the laziness, the pride, the fear, and replace them with something real. You can't rebuild using the same weak materials that made you crumble. That means changing your mindset. That means being brutally honest about why you failed. Was it lack of preparation? Was it fear? Was it inconsistency? Until you face that truth, you'll stay stuck in cycles of collapse. But when you own it, when you take full accountability for your downfall, you take control of the rebuild. You stop blaming circumstances and start building solutions. The process of rebuilding hurts. It's slow, it's frustrating, and it demands everything you've got. But it's the pain that creates the progress. Every day, you put one more brick down. Every morning, you wake up and show up again, even when it feels pointless. That's how you build unbreakable confidence. Through repetition, through patience, through relentless effort. Rebuilding teaches you the difference between motivation and commitment. Motivation gets you started, but commitment keeps you building when the world forgets your name. Every setback you face was preparation for this moment. The rubble isn't a graveyard, it's a construction site. The ruins of who you were are the foundation of who you're becoming. You can't rebuild overnight. You have to grind for it, sweat for it, bleed for it. You have to embrace the process of becoming someone new, someone who doesn't flinch when life hits again, because it will hit again. But this time, you'll be ready. This time, your foundation will be stronger. The old you broke under pressure. The new you is built from pressure. Rebuilding from the rubble means turning your past failures into future strength. It means looking at your scars not as reminders of pain, but as proof that you survived. It means building a version of yourself that can't be broken by the same storms that once destroyed you. When you rebuild, you no longer chase perfection. You chase progress. You no longer fear falling. You fear staying down. The process is brutal, but it's pure. It strips away everything fake until only the truth remains. You, the real you, forged by failure, rebuilt by discipline, unstoppable because you've already lived through destruction and found a way to rise again. Silence the inner victim. The weak voice inside will tell you to quit, to hide, to blame. Kill that voice. That voice is the echo of your old self, the one that always found excuses, the one that never finished what it started, the one that wanted life to be easier instead of earning the right to be stronger. That voice will whisper in your mind every time things get hard. It will tell you that it's not your fault, that you deserve a break, that the world is unfair. It will feed you comfort and call it kindness. But that voice is the reason you're stuck. That voice is the enemy living inside your head, and if you don't silence it, it will own you forever. The inner victim is a liar. It disguises itself as logic, as reason, as self-protection. It tells you that you've done enough, that you should rest, that you can't keep going. It convinces you that failure is final and that other people have it easier. But the truth is, that voice is fear wearing a mask. It's your own weakness trying to negotiate its survival. It doesn't want you to change, because change means death for that version of you. The inner victim dies the moment you take full responsibility for your life. It dies when you stop blaming the world and start owning your choices. It dies when you stop seeking pity and start demanding accountability from yourself. When you hear that voice telling you to quit, that's the exact moment you push harder. When it says you're tired, you go another round. When it says you've done enough, you double down. You have to train your mind to override that inner weakness with action. The inner victim thrives on emotion. It feeds on doubt, fear, and hesitation. But when you move, when you act, when you grind despite those feelings, you starve it. You kill it by refusing to listen, by refusing to stop. You teach your mind that comfort is not the goal, growth is. And growth only comes when you step beyond what feels easy. The inner victim loves to shift blame. It loves to point fingers at circumstances, people, or luck. It'll say you didn't get the promotion because your boss was unfair, that your relationship failed because the other person didn't understand you, that your dreams didn't work out because life was too hard. But that's weakness talking. The truth is, every excuse you make builds a wall around your potential. Every time you say it's not my fault, you hand your power away. Silencing the inner victim means ripping that power back. It means saying everything that happens to me is my responsibility and I'll fix it. It's not about guilt. It's about control. You can't control what happens to you, but you can always control your response. You have to stop being addicted to pity. Some people live their whole lives as victims because being pitied gives them attention. It becomes their identity. But that identity is poison. You can't grow while clinging to your own weakness. You can't become great while feeding your pain stories. The world doesn't care about how hard it's been. It only respects what you build from it. The inner victim wants you to stay in your comfort zone, surrounded by people who enable your excuses. You have to break away from that environment. You have to create space for accountability, for truth, for discipline. Killing the inner victim is an everyday fight. It's not something you do once. It's something you do every morning when you wake up and your mind starts whispering soft lies. You fight it in your workouts, in your job, in your habits. It's in those tiny moments where you either choose to act like a victim or act like a warrior. When you silence that voice, you make space for the real you to speak. The version of you that's disciplined, focused, and unbreakable. That voice doesn't make excuses, it makes results. The inner victim wants comfort, but the warrior inside you wants freedom. Freedom from fear, from laziness, from dependence. But freedom has a price, and that price is pain, struggle, and relentless responsibility. Silencing the inner victim means embracing that price without complaint. It means walking through the fire with no one to blame, no one to rescue you, and no one to applaud you. It's learning to find peace in pressure, to turn silence into strength, and to use pain as motivation instead of a reason to quit. Every time you choose discipline over excuse, you silence that inner victim a little more. Every time you keep going when nobody's watching, you weaken it. Every time you hold yourself accountable when things go wrong, you destroy its grip on you. You stop letting your mind control you, and you start controlling your mind. You build a new identity, one that doesn't crumble under failure or fear. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait for motivation, who doesn't cry about circumstances, who doesn't beg for an easier life, but works to become stronger than any challenge that comes. That's the moment the inner victim fades away, not because it's gone, but because it no longer has a voice loud enough to stop you. Turn failure into fuel. Use your losses like jet fuel. Let every failure light a fire that refuses to burn out until you become unbreakable. Every time you fail, you're handed a choice. You can let that moment break you, or you can use it to ignite something powerful inside you. Most people crumble under the weight of failure because they see it as the end, as proof that they're not good enough. But those who rise, those who refuse to give up, see failure differently. They see it as energy. They see it as the spark that forges their next evolution. When you stop running from failure and start feeding on it, you become unstoppable. Failure has energy, raw, emotional energy. It hurts, it burns, and that pain is a resource. It's fuel that most people waste because they don't know how to channel it. They sit in it, they drown in it, they complain about it instead of using it. But the truth is that pain is power waiting to be converted. The sting of rejection, the shame of falling short, the regret of wasted time. Those are not weights meant to drag you down. They're weights meant to build your strength. The fire that failure gives you can either destroy you or drive you, and that decision is yours alone. When you fail, you should feel it deeply. Don't numb it. Don't hide from it. Let it burn through you until it leaves a scar, because that scar becomes a reminder. Every time you think about quitting, that scar will whisper, never again. Every time life gets hard, that memory of failure will push you to go harder. Use it to remind yourself why you can't go back to being average. Use it to remind yourself what happens when you stop giving your best. Failure isn't just an event. It's a mirror showing you the gap between who you are and who you could be. The key is to close that gap by turning every loss into a lesson and every lesson into energy. Turning failure into fuel means rewriting the meaning of loss. It means no longer seeing it as punishment, but as preparation. You failed because you weren't ready for that level yet, but now you've seen what it takes. Now you know the cost. That's the power of failure. It exposes your weaknesses so you can turn them into strengths. It humbles your ego so you can rebuild your confidence on reality instead of fantasy. Every time you fail, life is testing your hunger. It's asking, how bad do you really want this? If you walk away after the first setback, you didn't want it enough. But if you come back after every defeat, stronger and more focused, then you're feeding the fire that creates greatness. Most people look for motivation from success stories, from victories, from comfort, but the strongest motivation comes from pain. The fire born from failure burns hotter than any applause or trophy. When you use that fire right, it pushes you further than you ever thought you could go. It keeps you working when nobody's watching. It keeps you grinding when everyone else has stopped. That's how champions are built, not through constant success, but through relentless adaptation to failure. You turn that negative energy into momentum. Every mistake becomes a rep. Every setback becomes training. Every defeat becomes part of your fuel supply. To turn failure into fuel, you have to change your emotional reaction to it. Instead of feeling sorry for yourself, get angry in a productive way. Let that frustration become the reason you wake up earlier, the reason you train harder, the reason you refuse to stop. You channel that fire into precision, not chaos. You let failure sharpen you, not destroy you. The world will always have people who stop at the first sign of pain, but the ones who make it are those who keep moving forward through the fire. They've learned how to transform humiliation into hunger, embarrassment into energy, and loss into learning. There's a powerful shift that happens when failure stops being your enemy and starts being your resource. You stop fearing it. You stop avoiding challenges that could expose you. You start chasing hard things because you know that even if you fail, you'll walk away stronger. That mindset turns you into a machine of growth. You stop wasting time crying over what went wrong and start extracting power from it. You stop replaying mistakes in your head with regret and start replaying them with strategy. Every loss becomes a blueprint for your next move. When you learn to use failure as fuel, quitting stops being an option. You build a mind that feeds on adversity, a body that thrives on discomfort, and a spirit that never stops moving. You take everything that once hurt you, every rejection, every betrayal, every broken dream, and you burn it for energy. You turn pain into focus, frustration into drive, and defeat into resilience. The more you fail, the more powerful you become because you're no longer afraid of falling. You're addicted to rising. Every setback becomes a spark. Every scar becomes a badge, and every lesson becomes gasoline for the fire that will never die until you become something unbreakable.